And so I want to talk about decentralized autonomous organizations with you. You've created, probably one of the most popular ones from, a Black founder particularly, but one of the most popular DAOs anywhere with Miami Tech Runs and tech runs that you're doing all across the world right now. So I want to understand what a DAO is. Can you please explain for us?
Sure, no problem. So a DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. As the name suggests, a DAO is an organization automated by computer code and open for anyone to participate. So a DAO is created and managed by a community which collectively manages its funds and projects, right? Each DAO is different, and most follow like some simple basic principles. And anyone that's in a DAO, essentially, they have governance, and they have a governance token, which gives them voting power on proposals that are essentially proposed by the community. And then holders can also, make proposals for changes in how the DAO.
So as an example, I'm going to guess let's take your Miami Tech Runs. You're going to say, if I hold one of these tokens or these coins and we want to play on Saturday instead of Sunday, that's a proposal that I can make to the community?
Absolutely. So, when you're thinking about, in practice, right, there's certain things that you want to propose to the entire community. And then there are certain things that you may want to propose to just like your working group. And I'll explain what working groups are in the later half of this. But essentially, there's usually, governance is something that everyone is essentially trying and erroring and creating some type of process around. But essentially, when you're thinking about playing and the rules of the game, usually you use that voting tool to actually make that possible.
So when we have these conversations about DAOs, we're often talking about the blockchain and what the blockchain brings to this, the technology behind a DAO. And I wonder, as I've learned more and more about DAOs like yours and others, is the technology the more important thing? Or if I'm a community builder, do I have a stronger opportunity to build a good DAO or if I'm just a technology guy? What's more important, the technology of the DAO or the community behind it?
Good question. I would say both is important. The technology enables the transparency for people to have ebbs and flows and allow for, autonomous governance to actually happen and people to actually have checks and balances without always going to leadership or going to, a particular sector of the community that essentially has all the power. So, when you think about the technology, you think about the blockchain. Blockchain is immutable. So every transaction that's being, transcribed or transacted is actually, free and clear for anyone to see. It's also transparent. So members are essentially able to, make certain decisions and, be empowered by those. Also go back into the ledger and really see what's actually going on.
Yeah, what's going on before they got there so they can see a history, of
right
transaction. Yeah.
All right. So, and then essentially, the big thing here is when you think about the community, without an engaged community, you don't really have a DAO. That's a very important piece of the DAO, because it kind of helps support the culture. It helps support the essentially the purpose, the North Star, right? The community, they band together for whatever singular purpose they came together to actually achieve. And then from an organizational perspective, it's very flat. So therefore, there's no one person that has complete control over the entire economy. It's more so a, opportunity for people to become leaders. There's no winner takes all type of scenario. It's more so all takes winnings, one done right. And it's a very inclusive activation. So I think communities, when they band together, it creates collective economics, groupthink. This saying of we're only stronger together becomes a true testament of how these communities get to unite and mobilize and make things happen.
You said a couple things there that I thought were really interesting, and I think there's two ways. You started these tech runs with people who want to play ball, right?
Right.
And then But when I listen to you talk now, I hear like there's a mission in some respects. What was the thing that got people excited about these tech runs when it's like we're here to play ball, but it wasn't like we're here to save, the whales. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I get like why people would want to save the whales, but why would I buy a token to play basketball? Like what was the value there that you believe was, the driving force to people being engaged with tech runs?
Good question. The key thing for us is we're building the ultimate playground at the intersection of sports, crypto, and culture. For us, it was really about how can we mobilize and essentially grab the crypto curious, not those who are already crypto native, but the crypto curious, and bring them into Web3 in a way in which that was really native and to their current way of life, right? And I think the what we are, we're in a new generation of the internet. And the internet is essentially moving at a pace that's, that's exponential, but also at a pace where a lot of people, and we've seen this in the past, have been left behind. So my question is how can we not onboard the masses into Web3, but how do we bring Web3 down to the masses so that it can be digestible, easy for them to understand? And then through that process of that shared interest, we can then, essentially teach them the way, in a way in which that's fun, native, and respectable by most. So, when you think about DAOs, one of a DAO killer would be idleness. So when you're thinking about sports, it unifies. That's the natural property of it. It's one that people can play. It's one that people can watch and bet on. And we saw, me being a former athlete, I've seen it in so many different ways, build and essentially unite communities. So I wanted to test that model out in this space and create one of the first sports social clubs that can allow for people to kind of gather around, build around something that they completely understand, but then take that lesson and take it to the next level. So the vision is a lot larger than even that, but we knew that we had to get people in the game. And we're not talking about on the court. We're talking about in the game of Web3.
No, that response is probably one of the better ones I've heard, because I see so many DAOs, and I don't have a question here, but this is more comment. I have all of these, DAOs that come across my desk, my proverbial desk. And, everybody's looking for what the utility is, what is the value of somebody owning this particular token. And the way you just described it, the DAO killer is idleness. And so when you're creating something that creates community, getting people out on the basketball court, I get now why that strong of a utility is so important to the success of a DAO. You've got these people who are coming out, celebrities, even people who can be crypto whales, come out and play because they want to be around like-minded people who are investing in this thing called Web3, and they found community and they want to get out and play ball with some people who, are similarly situated. So,
and let me share something, if that's okay.
Yeah.
The result of that, right? The result of using sports as just a proxy. You get 92% of the people that when we first started had no crypto wallet. They knew nothing about crypto. And in just a short 4 months, not only did they have full understanding of, they're now crypto native, they were also, choosing certain lanes. So some would go down the NFT degen route where they learned a lot about NFT that became something that they were passionate and interested in. Some went down the DAO, and created more DAOs. We spent up a yoga DAO out of a result of the Tech Runs DAO. And now they go on retreats, and holding that membership token allows you to get access to places all over the country, like Egypt, all over the world, like Egypt and St. Lucia, and some parts of Africa. So, but beyond that, it's about, and I think it's really important, it's about competitiveness on the court, but collaboration off the court. So on the sidelines is where all the magic happens. It's the deal making. It's the $4 million being invested in each other. It's the starting new projects. It's the being hired by one another. And it all started because on the court, it provides an opportunity for members to essentially play and essentially have these nonverbal communications cues being activated. Me passing you the ball and you making a shot. I have a relationship with you that's a little bit deeper than, just me giving you a business card, right? So
Yeah.
it's like thinking about it in that fashion, and I think that's what created the success of it. And from an economic perspective, not only are we playing together, building tribes, having fun, but we also our token is rising because more people are joining, more people are finding the utility valuable to them, and
Yeah.
then through that, now people are also earning at a high pace.
No,
So,
I like that a lot. And you talked about this, the value of that community, and it's starting to pervade into other lanes of athleticism, yoga, you mentioned. When you think about tech runs, what was the initial catalyst that caused the community you're building to be successful? Because anybody could have just said, I'm gonna put together a basketball DAO. But how was your community built? Like, what was the impetus to get people interested in DTs?
right. I think it was a couple. The number one thing is the community became the moat. We were very, very like intentional about like who we had joined to kind of spearhead this community. So we went after entrepreneurs, founders, creators, investors, those who are, not just like-minded, but they have something to offer. And it got to a point where during the second half of 2021, members who were essentially um, like we started to recognize that like the news, the headlines that were happening, the mergers and acquisitions, the big plays that were happening, not only just in Web3, but just around the country in tech, someone in our DAO actually played a part or a role in making that possible. So now someone like me can go in there and be like, all right, who did this last? Who did this like our, TK deal? Like, can you share some thoughts around this and give us some insight? So, from the public view, they can allow us to see, how deals are being done, how things are being built, and giving me a certain knowledge set that I had no access to prior to being a part of this DAO, right? So I think it's stuff like that that creates a lot of value. And through that, partnerships started to happen. And that's when like we played at the Miami Heat Arena. We partnered with like the FTX Arena to actually make that possible. And that's when, the news took off. I mean, people started to recognizing that, oh wow, like this is not only a cool DAO, but they also played on NBA courts and
Yeah.
skyboxes. They're going to Puerto Rico. They're like right now our logo is on a professional basketball team, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Um, and that's exactly what happened from there. Like once that
Wow.
started to take off and we started to scale into different cities, we believe that we're like a global community, but essentially like a local culture. We want to make sure that the reason why we do it this way is we recognize every city has their own culture. We don't want to disrupt that by making it like one size fits all.
I love that. And you're a businessman too. I don't want to assume that you do this just because out of the kindness of your heart. I imagine, and that could be, but I imagine that there's a business opportunity here for you as well and for the community. And so can you explain how the economics work? Because if I start a company, I sell a product, I generate revenue. If I sell a service, I generate revenue, and whatever that bottom line is, that's my profit. That's the money I get to take home and buy a
Right.
new car, a new house, or whatever, pay my bills.
Right.
With a DAO, how does it work in the respect of I get to build something that is governed by a decentralized and autonomous set of people or organization, or I'm sorry, computer system, software,
Mm-hmm.
but there's revenue in it for not just the community, but how does DT get paid? Because if I want to go start a DAO, how do I get paid ultimately?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the economics is pretty fruitful. It's really supportive of the entire. Essentially DAOs give value to the edges of community. So the way in which you can earn is by engaging. We have a system set forth where members can join working groups and build different silos of the community so that the community can function as a whole, right? We have growth leads, partnership leads. We have people that handle membership relations, which is essentially like onboarding people. We have people that lead the community. We also have people that lead the governance, the treasury management. So the way we do that is we provide resources. Like we provide the resources in the form of the native token. Some use USDC, depending on like the scenario. And they get paid for bounties, like different projects that they work on and complete. And as this token continues to increase, we have a structure where you can get paid in two different ways. One is, you can get paid by a certain set of tokens, right? Which you can capture the upside as it continues to increase. Obviously the variable or the risk to that is like if it starts to drop, you'll catch that up, you'll catch the downside as well. But on the other side, there is also the stable aspect of it. Like you could say, hey, listen, we can all vote to give someone, two 1,500 part-time for a month of their opportunities, or like if they complete a certain amount of tasks, they can get put on either a salary or a project-based situation, and that would be given into the native token, but it would give it in the amount in which we set forth. Like if it's $2,000, it'd be $2,000 worth of this native token. And so that's the way we incentivize our community. And so the way I get paid is, the same way.
So, and this is for my own benefit because I've had so many people, we've been having these DAO conversations, and I heard this quote that says you can't bring a Web 2 way of thinking into Web 3. And I think there's like a disconnect with so many people who are trying to think of how to make this make sense. And so I'm going to ask you, like, is it what you just explained? Is it kind of like, I get paid, like think about the traditional stock market. I get paid in more stocks of, McDonald's or whatever. And by engaging with the community of McDonald's, they give me more stocks. And so I get to pay my bills when I cash that stock out. Is that what you're saying in kind of how DAOs work? So if I engage with the Tech Runs DAO, I earn these tokens. Therefore, you're saying I get to, realize that personal reward. Is that get turned into dollars when I just decide to cash in some of those tokens so that I can go pay my bills, so that I can go take a vacation, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, to a certain degree, yes. You can get paid in the quote unquote company's equity, right? When I was at Tesla, through bonuses, we had bonuses and instead of cash, we had equity. We got paid more and more Tesla stock. And that can pay off later on, like, especially when you get in early. Given the fact that Tesla has, performed the way it has in markets. So same model comes here, but it also, like, Web 2 is not completely vanished from Web 3. So like the idea that there's a complete separation, no. It's just a follow on. Like it's read, write, and own. It's not only own. It's also write too. So like when we think about the model, we still want to, how do you make, the salaries competitive? We look at ways in which we can, we look in the market and say, hey, listen, how much would someone get paid in normal dollars? And then we can apply that in this model. And we're just getting paid in a native token. So now when we talk about the Web3, play of it, it's okay, you might receive the native tokens, you might receive ETH, and those two things is something in which if you have Coinbase or if you have all these other, like if you have BlockFi, some of these other like banking tools that are more Web3 native, it can give you an opportunity to, you can hold your crypto and like borrow against it, or you can essentially cash out whenever you find that to be suitable as well.
So how can people who are, you talked about some of the people who came to Tech Runs didn't even have a wallet in the beginning. How can people who are trying to get DAO experience, interested in things like Tech Runs and others, Friends with Benefits and others, like how can we easily get DAO experience? If we want to dip our toe in the water to just kind of figure this thing out, what are some things you would recommend we do?
I think the best thing you can do is participation. So you can learn a little bit, but I think just jumping in. And what jumping in looks like is, there's communities. Like if you see, say, Tech Runs, and you see the activity that's going on, like our DMs are stacked. And in our DMs, we have members saying, hey, listen, I want to join. How do I get around to like becoming a member, or, how do I participate? The best way in which we can do that is through, we have like a membership application process, right? So like you can apply. And once you apply, we have our membership relations people, start to do her due diligence and essentially reach out to those people. And those people, and she kind of walks you through that process, why they'd be a good fit, et cetera. And then eventually they buy the token. So like the decentralized part of it is, for most people, you can buy your tokens and you can buy someone's tokens, and that's the first start. So Friends with Benefits, the same thing. You buy their tokens, you can apply. Once you apply, you get reached out to, and you join that first group, that private Discord channel. Once you own those tokens and you've been approved, and then they walk you through that
Yeah.
onboarding process from thereafter. So it's every process has a different model. Some you can just join by just buying the NFT
Yeah.
or just the token. Some has an application process because they're kind of like vetting the vibes and trying to have controlling of. They just making sure that like the vibes are being protected. Um, but it's not necessary. And then some just have an open group chat. Like LA Tech Runs has an open group chat. You can join by just clicking on the link in the bio in the Instagram bio.
So I'm always interested in where Black people fit, with regards to Web3 opportunity. What unique perspective do you believe Black people bring to the conversation of Web3? Not just DAOs, but NFTs and the whole thing. What do we uniquely bring that we can realize the value of?
Good question. Our cultural IP. I think the way in which we operate is it's clearly very different. The way we consume is very powerful. The way we can influence different brands. I mean, most brands in America is built off of Black culture. So when you think about how we can play and how we can you know uh, participate in this new paradigm shift that's happening in the internet, I think that the key thing is we can bring those tastemakers. We can bring the way in which we want to do business. Like there used to be a cookout, DAO that essentially brought people together and essentially had that same model of the cookout. Like, hey, listen, we're gonna talk about this over a plate of food or whatever the case may be, and then essentially, as they build out certain projects, they're gonna invest in one another. Then there's opportunities like ours, which is a very diverse and inclusive DAO. Sports, it's dominated by Black culture, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how can we leverage? And I noticed that like our DAO and some of the other social DAOs out there, mainly us and Friends with Benefits, are like some of the most diverse DAOs. We're not like a all women's DAO. We're not a all anything DAO. We're literally a melting pot. And I think it's because of the cultural IP that we chose to participate in. And beyond
Yeah.
that, I think it's what we choose to do, right? Um, you know, I said this before. I was talking to a friend, and I mentioned that I never traded collectibles when I was a young kid. I stood in line for a pair of Jordans. You know, right? I put things on layaway. I put my North Face on layaway. Like I did things like, my parents put just to set up. So like we can still
Yeah.
use those same thought processes to actually play in the space, right? Like putting your something on the layaway is basically saying, all right, I'm gonna put some down at the floor, and then when it
Yeah.
becomes popular or when it becomes in season, essentially I'm gonna go in and buy up. So it's the
Right.
same thing like buying an NFT, like minting at the early stages. You're learning how to get in at the early stages, and then when it becomes popular, you can either buy more, or you can sell, or you can do things, but you're learning how to get in early.
Love that. So, for folks who are not super technical and are watching this right now, or listening to this, and they want to start a DAO, they've got an idea for a community DAO in their local geography. They want to build one for their city or for their friends group. I remember one of the guys you were sitting with at AfroTech executive in Miami. He said like a DAO is like a group chat with a balance sheet, and I thought that was pretty important and sweet. So
Right,
if I'm not super technical, but I want to start a DAO, where do I start? How do I do this?
right. I mean, there's tons of resources online. There's DAO launchpads. I mean, we have one. DAO Labs is essentially a DAO launchpad where you can come and learn and we make it easy to make and manage a social DAO. And we provide you with the tools, the token creation, as well as help you with the go-to-community strategy, because we recognize that some of these members are crypto curious versus crypto native, right? So there's launchpads out there. There's also an opportunity for you guys to read up on different materials and launch, a group chat, right? There's Telegram, there's Discord. You can start there. It doesn't really, the first part of building a DAO is you have to build a community. And then looking at the logistics, like identifying like what needs to be handled. to accomplish the North Star goal. So like once you have like some of these key things in place, then at that point you can just go to one of the launch pads. You can come to me if you need to. You can go to other communities that already have DAOs and join one, and then like from there you'll learn the lay of the land.
Dig that. So if people want to learn more about you, your work, tech runs, or DAO Labs, where should we go to find out all the things DT?
My DMs are always open. So DT_32 on Twitter, IG, DAO Labs at .xyz is a good place to start if you're looking to start a DAO and you want to essentially acquire about it. We have a team that's willing to kind of walk you through that process, and then eventually automate some of the processes for you guys so you guys can get up and running pretty quickly. And essentially from there, those are the two main places that you guys can find me. And again, my DMs are open. I'm always willing to share knowledge and good game anywhere I can be resourceful.
DT, so glad you spent some time with me, my brother.